13-year-old driver Evan Rauscher.
Hello, race fans, and welcome back to Rauscher Racing Weekly. I'm your host, Thomas O'Boyle, and this week was the Burris Bull Race Showdown.
The Burris Bullring Showdown.
Bullring Showdown, the BBS this week at Red Bluff.
Yep, the first Bullring Showdown they've had, so it was kind of cool.
Nice. And so you made your first trip up there?
Yeah.
And it was a crazy weekend.
It was, yes. The first trip to Red Bluff for this season for the Burris Bullring Showdown that Kobe Copeland helped put on with the Red Bluff Outlaws. So it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of big name drivers that come from sprint cars, that came down and raced with us. Kyle Larson was there. And then, of course, we took our boys and we put on a show, and it was fun. The boys showed a lot of speed, and it was a good 3 days of being at the racetrack.
Nice. So Kyle Larson was there, as you were saying, leading up to it. Yep. Did the boys get a chance to talk to him, race against him, or anything?
I don't think the boys actually took a minute to talk to him or anything. Our boys aren't really super starstruck, you know what I mean? They're not like, nice. Their mouth doesn't drop when they see somebody they see on TV. They're like, that's cool, that's him. That's pretty neat. Nice. But Blake did get a practice session with him, which was kind of neat.
Nice.
So it's always fun to be on the track and kind of compare yourself to, honestly, the best dirt driver in the nation right now. I mean, the guy is killing everything. So. And
it was a 3-day weekend, so
right.
You had some preliminaries and things on, Thursday?
Yes, we started Thursday. We actually left the house Thursday morning and went over. And Thursday was, I don't know, what did we have, like 4 or 5 hours of practice of the boys getting 5 laps at a time. They went by class, and every car on the track would get 5 laps in groups of, I think, 4 or 5. And then we'd go through. So it would take about an hour to get back to you. So you had plenty of time to make adjustments and change things and go back out and try it again. And it was fun. We made some progress. So the boys had great speed on Thursday.
Nice. So from what I understand, it was actually a very interesting weekend. A lot going on.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about your whole weekend overall for the race?
As far as the race, like I said, with practice being on Thursday, and then Friday we got up and the boys got more practice, I believe, Friday morning before everything started off. In the open class, I think there was 54, 55 entries, and Blake qualified like 28th. So, I mean, Blake was not that far off. It was like 0.2 of a second between first place and like 30th. So, I mean, faster almost than you can blink an eye. They were that close. Yeah. Evan he can't run the open class like he did at Cycle N here because of age restrictions and the insurance and all that.
Right, I heard it was a little different.
Right, which it bums him out, but in the OI class he actually has a smaller group. I think there was only 21 or 22 cars, and he qualified 10th. I mean, and they're super close too. I mean, Evan was not far off of being first in qualifying.
Okay.
And so, but he got to, because of the way he heat raced and where he finished, he actually got to be in what they call the Fast Four dash, where they'd put 4 cars on the track at one time. The top 2 would keep moving on to advance your position in the main. And that's the first dash I think we've ever made of any kind since we started traveling. So it was pretty cool.
Very nice. And so for race fans, you're going all the way out to Red Bluff, right, in California. Do you guys stay there in the trailer? Do you rent a hotel room for this particular race weekend, or what do you do?
Most of the time, what we try to do is we have a toy hauler so we can stay at the racetrack. Derek allows us to put our carts in his trailer and lock them up so they're secure. That way I can sleep better at night. They're not out in the elements of the wind and the dust and all that blowing on them and whatnot. So, but when it's certain races, when it's, Red Bluff, their season's in the rainy season down there. Yeah. And so there's times we've gone there and we've been wet from the waist down 5 minutes after we get there, and we're there for 3 days. So on times like that, yeah, we try to get a hotel room, just so we can get dry. Yeah.
So as next weekend comes up, it'll be the first official points weekend
Yes.
for Brent because the boys aren't racing.
Correct, yes.
So what do you look for going into this weekend before we go to break?
Well, Evan's got a little bit of work to still do with his cousin, being the crew chief. They got a brand new car to set up. We're actually going to take it to Brady Built Performance at some point this week, and we'll put it on the scales.
Very good sponsor for you guys.
Yeah, and we'll get things adjusted so it handles the way Brent wants it to, and it gives them a good starting point. But as far as us, yes, Evan will be there at the track. Blake will have a weekend off. We've got some repairs to do to both cars before they can run again. So.
Good. All right, so when we come back from a break, we'll be sitting with Blake and talking about how his weekend went.
Perfect.
So we'll be back after this. As a seller, you want 3 things. 1, to get your home sold quickly. 2, to move on with your life with the most amount of money possible. And 3, with the least amount of hassle. Let's chat over a cup of coffee so you can begin your next journey. Call or text Joe Loyce today to schedule your free consultation. 775-720-3341 NRED S169631.
Are you too tired to cook? Tired of driving into town? Check out Fuego Habanero at Chuck's Market on the corner of Village Parkway and Cold Springs Drive. Come enjoy delicious, fresh, local, and authentic Mexican food such as carne asada street tacos, burritos, and their homemade avocado salsa. Brought to you, the customer, by us at Fuego Habanero.
All right, race fans, welcome back to Rauscher Racing Weekly. I'm here with Blake. Blake, you guys had your first weekend up at Red Bluff. It wasn't for points, but it was a fun race, and you kind of sort of got into it a little. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so starting with the beginning of my weekend, I was really nervous to get on the track because that's way different. I was scared I wasn't going to be able to throw the car in there enough. And after our first couple practice groups, I felt really good. And I started feeling good in the car and comfortable. And so I qualified 28th out of 54, I believe, that were there, which is pretty good because it was single car qualifying. The track was getting really dry because we were the last class, and I was pretty nervous. And then after that, initially I went 16th when I went out, so that's actually really good. But then there was a lot of fast cars behind me. And then we got into my heat race. I started on the pole, and the guy on the outside of me didn't go, so I slid up like the slide job line, and I led the first amount of laps. I was doing really good, actually. And then the guy that passes me later on in the heat race actually was running third in the A main, which was like really good. I was keeping up with someone that fast because he did really good this weekend. But coming off of, so I was leading the heat race, and I come off of turn 4, there was a yellow flag, so we're racing back yellow, and I got a little sideways, and he crossed me up, and he like barely got there. And I think if I could have stayed out there, I could have done really good because my line was fast, and I was running like a slide job line, and I couldn't really like run around me, and it was hard for them to get under me, it seemed like, because I was watching the video. That's what it looked like. And yeah, so it was pretty good. And then we went to our qualifiers the next day, started outside pole and had a little bit of a rougher time. The track was a little different, and then drier than it was the night before, and I struggled.
Okay.
And we fell back a little bit, which is not bad. It was okay. So we were sitting pretty good in points. My bad. So we were sitting in really good in points, 28 out of, I think it's 28th in points, which is good. I was in a qualifier, and which is hard to do because a lot of people didn't make it in there. And we were in a C main. That's what we're guaranteed we weren't in the alphabet soup because it went back to like E mains.
Okay.
There was a lot going on.
That's a lot of cars then.
Yeah, there was a lot of cars, so it's like a lot. I'm trying to like keep my, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to remember it all because it was just so much. It was so chaotic. Because there it's just go, go, go when it's time to go.
So why don't you tell us about how it felt being at the shorter track and then the damage to the vehicle that you sustained?
At the shorter track, it felt weird because you have to throw the car in there. Right in the bottom is really hard. You have to throw it in there, like get on the clutch, get on the brake, and try to keep the engine, like keep it going so you don't stall it and like bog down to keep it good. And it was really difficult to learn because we haven't been there in a while, and we have new stuff on the cars. Before we went there, the car didn't seem to do that really like how it did, so it was a little different. And then, so in our C main, we started third row on the inside, so I started 5th, and right off the start, I moved up. I felt really good, and then like lap 2 or 3, I think it was, people in front of me got into it, and I had nowhere to go because it's so small. I was committed to the bottom, and it came down right in front of me. There was just nowhere to go. So I got piled in. Luckily, I kept the car going, and I could continue on, and I hopped in. I just had to follow in the back, and then moving forward from that, it was just a struggle because we were moving forward, but it was like, it's just so tight there. And first race back in our C main, it was just a little struggle.
And you're used to the wide open cycle land, so
Yes.
I mean that kind of threw you off a little. Now, what kind of damage going forward is like? Do you have a full overhaul, or what's going on with your car?
So in our C main, all my damage this weekend came from one driver, but one of the times it was my fault, and then actually they're both my fault. I had nowhere to go the second time. The first time I spun out and he broke my hood a little bit, and then going in the C main, he got into someone else and they parked on the front stretch a little bit. They got into the wall and I had nowhere to go, and I had to turn the car, and I whacked him really hard, and I thought I bent the axle, but the cage is actually like collapsed. It's like bent all weird, tightened the car up so it made it hop.
Right.
And then after that, I got the same driver. Like, I don't know what happened. I think someone stopped in front of him a little bit. He had to check up, and I asked why I had to check up. And then I stalled the car, and it was my fault, and I couldn't continue on from that. And the car was really bad, so we pulled off the track, and we had 2 spins and cautions.
So it's undrivable, basically.
Yeah, it was
right?
hard to drive. Once it got going, it was okay if I was on the high side, but otherwise it was just really bad hops, and it was hard to.
So how long do you think you'll be down for? I know you're taking some time off for this season, but how long before you think your cart will be back up and running?
I'm not sure. Hopefully not too long. We don't have too much damage besides that. I messed up. I don't think we messed up anything else, actually. I think that's just it.
All right, so why don't we take a look at your race, and then after that, we'll go to commercial and come back with your brother Evan.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look.
great things about ordering meals from Mother of Macros is that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Click the national or local delivery link to access the menu, and we'll ship the meals right to your door. We understand you won't always have time to plan, shop, prepare, and cook to provide healthy nutrition for your family, so the process is simple and saves you hours. We know you're busy, so our meals are professionally prepared and packaged. You only need to heat them up and enjoy. We provide macro-balanced, delicious meals chock full of fresh, local ingredients with none of the stuff you don't want to eat. Plus, our menu changes every week, keeping your taste buds wanting more. We take care of your meals so you can worry about everything else on your list. Mother of Macros.
All right, welcome back to Rauscher Racing Weekly. I'm here with Evan Rauscher, who had a good weekend this weekend out there at Red Bluff. You had a change up. You went from the big outdoor track at Cycleland to itty bitty little track. So, how do you feel about this weekend?
This weekend went really good for me. When we used to go to Red Bluff in the past, I've never done really that good. But I've also never had as nice of a car as I've had now. And when we went there during practice, it felt really, really good. And then we went into the next day and go into qualifying, and I kind of drove it the same way. This kind of threw it in there a little bit harder to run the bottom. And then we qualified 10th out of 21 cars, put me on the inside of the second row in the heat race. And then the dude that started in front of me jumped the start, so we moved up to the front row, and then I got a good start and led most of that race, thus rolling the bottom. And then about 4 or 5 laps left to go, second and third passed me, and then fourth place just kind of got impatient and just ran me over. So I had to restart in the back, and I got up to like 5th, I think, but then coming to the checkered flag, I locked up the brakes on accident and turned her around and finished last in that. But then after that, we got to run our qualifier, I think it was, and we started on the pole of that next to the same kid that wrecked me in my heat race, and we ran pretty good in that, led most of that race too, and then we fell back to 4th with a couple laps left to go again, and then we moved on into the qualifier. I was one of the last cars to make it, so I was in the first group, and when I was going, we took the white flag, was going around turn 2, and first place came down on second and wrecked him. Then I had nowhere to go and ran into him, so then they pushed us back off. And I thought we were done, so I just pulled off the track, since normally we race back to the yellow there.
Right.
So I just pulled off the track, and then turns out I still had like another lap left to go. But that was okay. And then that put me to start 10th or 11th, I think, in my heat race. I'm the A main. And the A main was just a clown show. Everybody was wrecking, and it took us like almost 20 minutes to get one lap in.
So was it a problem with the track, or just drivers being too wide open with that small of a track?
I don't know. I think it was just drivers driving over each other. This typical Red Bluff stuff, and caused a lot of wrecks and a lot of red flags, and took a while to get going again.
And why don't you tell us about the final day, Sunday? You had some good stuff going on then.
Yeah, in the A main or whatever, when I started 11th, I got up to, I think I was up to like 6th or something after all the crashes were going. Right. And then I got caught up in a little fender bender in the first couple of laps where these 2 cars spun out and I had nowhere to go, and I hit them, but luckily I just kept the car going and got to finish that race. I mean, I didn't finish it, but I kept on going, went back to the yellow, and then a couple laps later, like 20 minutes later, what it felt like, and a girl spun out right in front of me, and I locked up the brakes again and backed the car into the wall and bent the axle. So at that point, I just thought it was better to pull off than wreck more stuff.
So let's talk about the Fast Four Shootout a little bit, because it's a different kind of take on the racing, because the 12th car can actually wind up being as the first place driver. So why don't you touch on that before we check out to race.
Yeah, so in the Fast Four shootout is where they take the top 12 cars and they put 4 of them on the track at once. I think you get 3 or 4 laps, and the top 2 that finish in that race tag onto the back of the next 2 cars that go in there. And I was in the first group, so I think I started 11th in that one. And I was up there with first and second. I was about to pass second, and then first came down on him and spun him out, and I had nowhere to go and ran into him. And that's when I pulled off the track because I thought that we were done. But
Well, before we check out your race, the last thing I wanted to ask you about was going forward now, you're going to be more of the pit crew or on the pit team. You know, how does you feel about that for going forward with working with Brent?
I like it. I think it's going to be fun going to Red Bluff every weekend and then just watch Brent develop as a driver over the winter and learn how to race little bullrings. And then we might be able to take some stuff that we learned from his car and tag onto mine.
There you go. All right, then. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at your race, and then when we come back, we'll be with Brent.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look.
Oh, white flag quickly in the air in this one as the yellow going to wave too. So we're going to come to the checker. Oh, the 25 got turned around. I didn't see it. Looked like the 25 definitely had some help. And only one car will finish.
Well, one thing about the 96 is even upside down, you can tell it's a 96. It reads the same both ways.
Realty One Group Eminence is opening doors across the globe. One home, one dream, one life at a time. If you're looking to buy or sell, call or text Jolois Egbert Palmer at 775-720-3341. And tune into her show every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on CSTV's Facebook page. NRED S169631. Do you want your home to shine? Well, look no further, because at All About Cleaning Service, we always have room for you. We are licensed and insured local business serving Reno, Sparks, and the North Valleys areas. We also provide service to Burnley. We offer the following services: one-time cleaning, bi-weekly cleaning, monthly cleaning, move-in out, and deep cleans. We are currently running specials for our community. Our girls are reliable, trustworthy, and we can honestly say they are amazing. We put our heart and dedication into what we do. Contact us today, 775-799-0949. Facebook, All About Cleaning Service. Email, allaboutcspro@gmail.com. No mess, no fuss, just cleaning. Welcome back, race fans. I'm here with the youngest Rauscher, Brent Rauscher. And Brent, you had a 3-day weekend at Red Bluff. This is your season now. We're going to concentrate on you for this season at Red Bluff in the winter season. You're indoor. It was a little crazy for you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your weekend?
Starting out, we went out for hot laps. The first session, I literally didn't do anything right. And then the second session, we loosened my car up because I was way too tight. And then when I went back out, it slickened off, and then I almost spun it out, but somehow saved it. And then a couple more sessions in, they did some track prep, and then I went out, and then I was trying to work the bottom, because all I tried to do for like the first 4 sessions that I ran was figure out the top. But I knew that I was gonna not be able to run the top the whole weekend, so I knew I had to figure out how to run the bottom, especially when the track is slick. So then after that, and then we went into qualifying on Friday night, and then I went out in the first group, and I was second quick after my group, and overall I ended up 13th quick. And then that would set me up to start on the outside pole of my heat race. Yeah, outside pole of my heat race. And then on the start, 2 cars behind me crashed. So then we were racing back to the yellow. And then instead of going to the bottom, I went to the top and lost a spot. And then just ran third the rest of the race. And then on Saturday night, we ran my qualifier, and if I would have finished 1 spot better, I would have made the pole shuffle.
Oh, man.
But since I missed it by 2 points, so that put me to start on the outside pole of the B main, and then like 4 or 5 cars jumped. So then they just kept putting the car behind the pole sitter next to me. And then when we finally got a good start in, and then I just tried too hard to make the A main and messed up.
So before we brought you on camera, we were talking a little bit, and you said you had a couple drivers that you had to drive through. What happened there with those?
So I got turned around, and then I was driving back through the field 100 miles over my head, and I just completely drove underneath someone, and they were like sitting in the middle of the track, and then so either I had to drive underneath of them and move them, or just couldn't get around them because I'd have to drive over top of the grip on the high side. So I'd have to either move them or not go around them. And then just in my qualifier, then it almost went upside down when I hit him. And then in the B main, I hit him, and it just started bouncing the front end up and down, and I hit the wall.
Yeah, crazy weekend. Now, the other big issue is you kind of lost your engine, huh?
Yeah, I started pushing a head gasket out. Not a good thing, because there's puking coming out of the side of it. My dad had a brilliant idea of doing a catch can with a Gatorade bottle, and it didn't have anywhere to let the compression out. And then once it started filling up with all the heat, it just started going everywhere inside the cockpit.
Oh no, did you get hit with it, or did
Yeah.
it?
It was inside my eyes. It was all in my suit.
Did it affect your driving?
No.
Like, was it crazy? No, you were able to finish?
I didn't finish because I got black flagged.
You got black flagged?
I would have had to
ex-
finish second to transfer anyways, even though they
Right.
took 4. They assessed a 2-car penalty because I drove over top of someone, so I would have had to finish second to transfer anyway.
So before we go check out your race, why don't you explain a little bit to the fans who might not know what black flag means?
So basically, if you rough drive someone, which basically means if you barely touch them, you're gonna get a black flag warning, which means if you spin out, you get a black flag warning because it's a 2-spin rule. And then if you rough drive again, which is barely touching, you get black flagged. If you spin out again, you get black
So almost like the red card in soccer, you get the yellow, and then red, you're out.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, why don't we take a look at your race, and then we'll be back to wrap up the show.
All right.
All right.
Samuel Harper leads Jennifer Osborne, Carter Patterson, and now Mason Dietz. Look out, the 16 just annihilated the beef jerky car.
From food truck to restaurant, North Valley's Hawaiian food truck favorite. Aloha Shack. Enjoy Kahlua pork cheese shell tacos, the curry burger, or even Kahlua pork nachos. Aloha Shack just off of Exit 78, open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. with a Saturday brunch served from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. Takeout only, call 775-622-8825.
All City Lawn and Landscaping, Nevada Contractor License 0086520. We are a locally owned family business, and our crew consists of honest and hardworking individuals who are determined to guarantee client satisfaction. We can take care of all your yard work and landscaping needs. Please do not hesitate to call us today for all inquiries or to schedule your free estimate. 775-720-8794. All City Lawn and Landscaping can do these jobs for you. Book. Need new installation? How about those trenches? We got you. Landscaping, design, and installation. Sod, rock, sprinklers, landscaping, construction on new homes, complete landscaping, renovation, and more. Complete lawn and landscaping maintenance, fertilization, pre- and post-endangerment, irrigation, installation, and maintenance. Pavers with your landscape design. Aeration, detaching, irrigation, turn-on, cleanups. Fully licensed and bonded and insured. You live the city life and leave the lawn care to us.
Welcome back to Rauscher Racing Weekly. I'm Kim Rauscher and Samantha Rauscher, and this is Mom's Corner. We wanted to talk to you this week about what we do at the track, where we stay at the track, how the kids did at the track. So we're just going to kind of bring it all into you. So I know it was mentioned earlier where we stay when we're at the track. David and I and the Blake and Evan, we tend to stay at the track more so than staying at a hotel. We do this so that it saves a little money on those costs, but I know Samantha and Derek, they like to support the local businesses that support the racetrack. So she's going to talk to you about that.
Yep. So we don't have a hauler, we just have our basic trailer. So we almost always have to stay in a hotel if it's more than 1 day or 2 days. But we will look for the hotel that is maybe supporting a racer or the racetrack itself or some of that. It's just about giving back to the sponsors that give to us. That's our hope when we have a sponsor on the cars, that people go to them and say, Rauscher Motorsports, Rauscher Racing. It's just a part of that giving back to what gives to us.
Yeah, so I like that you mentioned that. I'm actually going to touch on that. So definitely, if you want to support the people who support Rauscher Racing, I think that is an amazing thing to do. So definitely let that person know, hey, I saw you on a race car, Rauscher Racing, Brent Rauscher Motorsports. You know, that's a big thing for our sponsors. That means they know that their money is going into something that's giving back to them. So we're going to go ahead and touch base on our next thing and what we do at the track. So as moms, we don't just get to sit and watch racing and relax and, you know, that kind of thing. So we're always running around. We are prepping our kids, getting them ready for the track. I am running back and forth between races because I have 2 kids. Samantha is filming for us. And then after all of that, we have to feed this large bunch.
Yep. So obviously going out for 3 days, twice a day is not the ideal option. So we will build a menu throughout the week with each other, something that's easy for us to make that feeds everybody, because we do have racers on the track, we have crewmen in and out, so it doesn't mean that we all want to eat together, so it has to kind of stay, and we have to be able to keep it hot and kind of all those things. So we will break the menu up and kind of crock pot it, grill it, whatever's easy for that night.
Yeah, whatever they're going to eat, and most of the time they don't eat anyways. They snack after the races. We want to also touch base on how well our kids did this week. For me, a win is just going to a track like Red Bluff Outlaws and not qualifying in the bottom 5, which is something we've done quite a bit. Brent's never raced there. My boys have been to West Coast Nationals. We've raced periodically at Red Bluff Outlaws. So this weekend, I am super proud of my kids. They really knocked it out of the park. No, we didn't win. But we made some amazing memories, and they did amazing this weekend. And Brent this week, I couldn't be more proud of how he drove this weekend for his first attempt at Red Bluff Outlaws.
Yep, so going there for the first time for a big show was kind of the do we not, but we chose to go, and he did really well. The relationship that our boys are growing will be lifelong. They are with each other all the time. They're there for the hard moments, the good moments. They really coach each other through, this is what I think I see, driver to driver, which is something that Disneyland can't buy. So we go to the track, and that's a memory that they'll have forever.
The boys, they are definitely there for the hard stuff. There was some heartening things that happened this weekend. Blake's cage, we don't know what's going on in the track. As we're standing off to the side, and Samantha's up in the stands, we can't see that frame is bent, and we definitely can't see that the axle is bent. So they are definitely there to help each other in the car, out of the car, and that kind of stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us for Rauscher Racing Weekly, and we will see you next week.